Hello, everyone. We hope everyone is doing well. And we are back with My Divine Light. I do have a question from last week. I usually get them after.
Okay.
Okay, and
Sure.
this one is not related to soul, or this was a question just came up that they wanted to know.
Okay. Yeah.
When you die, you do keep your soul, but do you keep your mind and its memories?
Okay. So our memories are in the brain, basically. They're in the body. Our body is our memory. And that does not go with us when we travel into our next incarnation or when we go beyond incarnations. However, our mind does go. In other words, mind is with us always. That is a tool and a gift from God, and that carries with us. Now, there are everything that happens is never erased, in the sense that it is, the vibration of it is imbued into the substance. And so there's always access to that. But it's not like the memory in the brain that is in the body for us to use while we're in this incarnation and to help us with our personality, and so that we can function while we're here in this particular consciousness. So, but those memories in the body do not travel with us if we lose our body. Not in that sense, but in another sense, we always have access to those memories because they're always imprinted in the substance. So it's not like memory is actually lost. However, most of the time we don't remember it because we don't know how to access those memories that are imprinted in substance. So, yeah.
But we do carry them with us, is what you're saying.
Well, we carry them, they're always there.
But we can't recall them.
But the memories that are in the body don't go with us, so we don't really recall them until we learn how to access them through the substance. Okay?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay, today, welcome everybody. Today we want to talk about identity, because this is important. This is a very important principle, because until we really understand who we are, there's no way for us to function in the kingdom of heaven. As long as we are identifying as what we are in this incarnation, then we're going to be left out of the kingdom of heaven. You can look at it this way. We are eternal beings. We were never born, we'll never die. We go on and on. Death is just a doorway that we walk through. Most of us identify with our life that starts at birth and ends in death. And we plan our life that way. And really, most people plan their life around when their death is going to be, or when they think their death is going to be. And that becomes our identification. So if we're going to live in heaven, heaven is eternal. And so at some point, we have to start living our lives for our eternal life. And not just think about, what am I going to do before I die? We don't realize how ridiculous that type of an attitude is. And I say it's ridiculous because we are eternal. And we are right now, in this moment, in this day, perpetuating what our next 1,000 years is going to be. It's not just about the next 10 years. It's not just about that at all. If we want a really wonderful life, we've got to start living for the next 1,000 years. Now, the last 1,000 years has brought us to this moment. We ourselves has brought us right here, right now. Nobody else did this to us. Nobody put us here. No God put us here. We put ourselves here. And we've been doing that for the last 1,000 years. And when Peter said, one day, St. Peter, of course, when St. Peter said, one day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day, really what he was talking about was every day we perpetuate our next 1,000 years. And the last 1,000 years perpetuated this day. It made this day. And so it's time to make a shift out of just thinking between the cradle and the grave. We've got to stop just thinking between 2 points. Even if it's, the point between death and in our minds going into heaven. We've got to get beyond thinking between 2 points. Our life is eternal, and we have to start living as if, and because it's actually true, what we're going to do for the next 1,000 years. We got to start thinking about that. Not just what we're going to do for the next 100 years. We need to think beyond, because we are beyond. And yes, this moment is our eternal moment, and that moment never ends. But you need to understand that there is this development going on, or this transition of consciousness that takes us out of this mortal living into eternal living, immortal living. And so we have to start looking at our lives differently. And one of those aspects is understanding that right now we should be planning what our next 1,000 years are. And people say, well, how am I supposed to do that? Well, I don't know what's going to happen after I die. And I'm telling you, you need to plan it out. You are the one in control here. See, there's no God making this world, making this for you, except for him giving you all of himself, all of his perfection, and that's going to be with you eternally. And you can live in that perfection if you will start acting in your eternal life. So that's the first part of it. So we have to start looking at ourselves much differently than we have been. We came through the womb, but that wasn't our beginning. That was just another phase of life. We just go through these phases of life. And each time we incarnate, it's a new phase of life. And so we were way before that, before we came into this world. And a lot of people don't even believe that they had other embodiments. You've had thousands of embodiments. And for some people that's hard to believe. But nonetheless, it is true. You never began and you'll never end. And so we need to start dealing with that, not just as an idea in our mind, but actually how we look at our lives and how we think of ourselves. So we got to start making these shifts and start shifting how we look at things. So when we came into our mother's womb, it was actually us who decided what our DNA was going to be. It wasn't our mother and father. It wasn't the world material that came together and made me. The world didn't make me. I made me. Now, that's a little hard to grasp, I understand, but it's actually the truth. And I'm not telling anyone how to live their life. I mean, we're all free beings, and we get to choose how we live and how we think of ourselves, you know. But this is more like a fireside chat, really. So, you know, I just want you to understand, you know, I'm not telling people that this is the only truth there is, and you have to follow these principles this way. You know, everyone's free to choose. And, you know, it may work for you or it may not, and that's fine either way. You know, I'm just here to reveal what God revealed to me. And I want to share that with anyone who wants to endeavor on that. You know, if it rings true to you, then that is wonderful. And it can be a great benefit for all of us. And really, if we get a hold of it, we can save humanity. Because humanity is just like those pigs where Jesus sent the spirits into the pigs and they ran off the cliff. Well, that's humanity. Humanity's running off the side of the cliff, and they don't even know it. So we have an opportunity here to shift gears and to start awakening to what life really is. And how we identify with ourselves is one of the important steps that helps us start to live out of a higher consciousness, which then will transform into a greater outer experience. So if we want to understand who I am, who am I? When we were young, our parents said to us, Lance or John or Bill or whoever your name was, and they tell you to come over to them. They say, come over here. And so we take our bodies over there, and before long we start to identify with that body. as if that body was what we were. And it goes on and on, you know. Oh, you're growing into such a fine young man or such a fine young woman. And we believe that's us, that they're talking about us. They're really talking about our body and our brain. And, but we think that that's us. We think Lance or Joe or Bill or Patricia or Patty. We think that's who we are. Now, if I am the body, then who's I? If I have a body, who's I? Who is this I that has a body? If I have a body, then can I be the body? If I have a thought, can I be the thought? Am I the thought, or am I having a thought? If I have an emotion, am I that emotion? Or am I having the emotion? So we've identified with these outer forms. And again, I just want to reiterate that the outer forms are the heart, which is our feelings, the mind, which is our thoughts and our concepts, and that emanates out as a body, and that body then produces the world we experience. So those are the outer forms. And when I say I feel good, then am I the feeling? Because who is the I that feels good? I am having a feeling, but if I have it, then I'm the owner of it. And I am not what I own. I have those feelings. I have those thoughts. I have this body. And I have this world experience, but I'm not any of those things. So we begin to see, if we start contemplating that, I move the arm. I move the body. If I decide to get up, then the body gets up. But then, am I the body? Because the body gets up when I decide, and I don't even have to say it, I don't have to think it, I just do it. And yet, there's this I that is doing it. I do it. I stand. I walk. I move. So there's an I behind it. There's an I behind everything that is in this outer world. And the same goes with what we think of as our possessions. And we tend to identify with our possessions. That's my car. That's my house. That's my yard. That's my jacket. That's my shirt. And those things become our identity because we look at them and we claim them for ourselves. But who's the my behind it? Who is my who has the house, who has the car, who has the clothes? So even though I think I possess those things, really they're out here and I'm back here. my identity is not in the world. It has seemed as though it was, and the world kept telling me my identity was, because people would say, they would do roll call and you'd have to answer when they called your name, so you identified with that. Yep, here I am, as if you were contained in a body, as if you were contained in your mind. But that never was true. And so we have to begin to look at the world and see that this temporary part of me, called body and mind and world experience, which is all temporary, that was never me. I was experiencing it, but I was never it. So once we begin to look at ourselves as we really are, which is invisible to the outer world, and it's the more real part of us. It's not like it's imaginary. It's the part that is the cause and the source of these outer experiences. I am the one who lives. So I'm back here. So we start identifying with the I that I am instead of the body and the mind, as if when I said I, it was this form or this intellect. If I say I hurt, then I'm really talking about the body or about my mind, emotional, or my feelings, my emotions. If I say I hurt, then, but I isn't hurting. See, that's a misidentification, because I doesn't hurt. I can't hurt, because I'm not the body. Now, the body may think it hurts, and even the body cannot hurt. It's just that we've been telling it, because the world's been telling us that the body hurts, and we thought we didn't know any better, so we said, okay, the body hurts. And then we directed the body to hurt. We didn't realize that was going on behind the scenes. And that is because we were identifying with the body. So once you start drawing out of that, you start to realize when the body hurts that that's not you. You don't hurt. And you don't feel good either. That's in the body. And it's okay to recognize that. Oh, my body feels good. My body hurts. But that's not me. I'm invisible and untouchable by the outer experiences. The outer experiences cannot touch what I am. Now, we do an exercise. We have an exercise for this, a practice, where you close your eyes. It works a little better if you close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes, but if you do, it works a little better, just so you can concentrate on your attention. And you start at the top of the head, and you put your attention at the top of the head. And you start to move down through your body and ask yourself, where is myself? Is it in every cell? Is it divided up to where it's in all the trillion cells that are in my body? That can't be right. So, I'm not divided up. I am who I am. But am I in the brain? Because the brain is receiving these vibrations and waves of light and waves of sound and all that stuff, and that's coming into my brain, and my brain is deciding what it is that I'm seeing. But that can't be me. I'm not the vibrations. I'm not what's coming into me. I'm not the brain that decides what I am. If I'm that, then where is it? Look inside your brain and see if you can find yourself. And you won't be able to find yourself. You're not in any location. And as you move down through the body, you start to realize, if one of my teeth fall out, I'm still here. It didn't deplete me. And even if I lose a finger, did that deplete me at all? Am I still here? Yes, I'm still here. Now, they can even go in and give you a new organ nowadays, you know. They can cut you open, give you somebody else's organ, and you still go on living. So are you the organ? Obviously not. You're still you, even though you have somebody else's organ. So you can see that your identity is not locatable in the outer world. You can't locate it. It's not in one place. It's not in any place. It is a spirit. And you start to learn that with that exercise, that I'm not there. And that you don't really even own the body. I mean, the more you contemplate it, the more you realize, if I move my arm, well, all these functions that it takes to move my arm, I don't really know anything about it. You know I got a muscle and some bones and some blood vessels and stuff and some skin, but I don't know how to move the arm. Not really. I don't know all the millions of functions, and I don't need to know that, because there's this intelligence in me that functions it. And so I can see I don't really own it. The cells in my body have all this complicated functions going on, and I know nothing about that, and yet they function in order to make me a whole body. And so I'm not the cells, I don't know how to function the cells, so the cells don't really belong to me. They never really did, It's nothing more than a combination of substances. That's all it is, So I'm functioning it. It's a gift for me to use. It's God's gift to us. It's actually, in its true form, is the temple of God. Our bodies are the place where we refract out into the world. But they don't belong to us. Nothing does. Those things that we said was ours, the table, the chairs, the furniture, the house, the car, all that, it's just substance, It's just really mind substance. It's not even God substance, it's mind substance. It's made up of atoms. And then those atoms gather together into groups and make molecules, and then the molecules come together and make cells, and so on and so forth. And that makes bodies. And that's all it is. And so there's nothing for me to own. And once I realize that, I can begin looking at the world and understanding that's not me. That isn't even mine. There is no mine. There's only God's grace. There's only God's substance. There's nothing else. There's no mine. There's no me to have something, because God produces everything I need. God forms it and makes it according to my consciousness, so that I have an opportunity to learn how to walk in the kingdom of heaven. That's what it's all for. We're here in this embodiment to learn how to walk in the kingdom. And we need to learn to do that. And first, we've got to get what our identity is. So, what am I? I now know that I'm not the outer expressions. I'm back behind the outer expressions. And we had a video on soul, and we are souls. We're not forms. We're not even feelings or intellect. We're none of those things. But we're even more than that. We had another video about God, or about divine light that is within us, that is within the soul. And that is our true identity. This divine light is who we are. But even if we don't know that, we know now that we're not the outer expressions. So we can start every time. We talked about this before in one of the other videos about being the observer. And when you become the observer, you start to understand that I am not what I am observing. Those things are not who I am. And that which is my life, my presence of life, that is the cause of the outer forms, that is what I am. And my life is the presence of God. So in reality, I am God. That's the truth. Now, you'll have to get a hold of that. You'll have to start thinking about that. Because if I'm not these outer forms, then what am I? You know, am I just a spirit floating around? No. I'm life. And life is wherever I am. Wherever my attention is, that's where my life is. And that attention produces the outer experience. And that's why we teach you to put your attention on this inner light, this inner God light, this inner God life. Because once you do that, then you have all the perfection that comes with that. If your attention's out in the world, and you're worried about the world, or you're happy about the world, or you think the world's making you happy, or making good things for you, then still your attention's out there, and eventually that's going to go away. If nothing else, when you go in the grave, you've lost it all. So, but if you're back here in your true identity, then you have that perfection with you throughout eternity. And that's what we want, because we want to start thinking about our next 1,000 years. How we're going to live for our next 1,000 years, and we want that to be perfect. We want all the joy, all the love, all the happiness to be with us. And so when Moses went up on the mountain. See, now that's symbolic because we have to raise ourselves up. When we identify, when we say the word I, we have to stop thinking about the outer part and start thinking about the part that's up above us. I am. Those are the magic words that Jesus Christ used so often. I am God. I am the Son of God. I am. And so you have to raise yourself up when you think of I. When you say that magic word, I am, then watch very carefully. Be an observer of what you claim after that. If you say I am sick, then you have to understand that that's what you're proliferating. If you say I am well, then you're proliferating wellness. You're not the wellness, you're not the sickness, and yet you bring it into expression when you say I am those things. So you want to draw your identification out of that. Say if your body hurts, say my body's hurting, but that's my body and I'm not the body. You know, remind yourself of that. No, I don't hurt. The body hurts, or the body thinks it hurts. And it only thinks it hurts because I told it to hurt. You know, in my ignorance, I was identifying with body, and I was told by the world that bodies decay and eventually hurt. And so that was really what I was telling the body to do, unknowingly. You know, I mean, it's all done in ignorance, really. We don't realize what we're doing to ourselves. We're killing ourselves and we don't know it. You know, it's when you think of it like that, it's kind of sad. God gave us eternal life here and now, and yet we're taking that and telling our outer forms to be something different. So now we're going to withdraw out of that. We're going to stop saying, I'm hungry. I'm not hungry. The body thinks it's hungry. Okay. You know, I'll give you some food, you know, for now, you know. Or maybe you might tell it, you know what, wait a while. It's not going to hurt you to go without food for a little while. You're fine. You know, you begin to talk to your outer forms and you begin to tell them what the truth is. See, now you're bringing God's truth into your mind and letting that manifest. And that's what you want to do. You want to stop identifying with those situations, with conditions. So that brings us to this point. We are not conditions. The conditions we experience, those are not us. Those are conditions that we put ourselves in. Over this last 1,000 years, we brought ourselves here in this condition. Whatever it is, good or bad, you know. But we are the ones that brought ourselves here. And so, but we're not that condition. We're the ones that is the source of it and the cause of it. And now we can start changing that, first of all, by stop identifying with it. You know, I'm tired. No, I'm not tired. I can't be tired. I have no form. I have no, you know, I express as a form, and this body is my expression, but that's not me. So I'm not tired. I can say, okay, my body feels tired. Now tell the body, you don't have to feel tired. That is a suggestion coming from gathered world information that's mostly all false. As most of it just isn't even true at all. So begin to talk to your thoughts too. When you say, oh, I had a bad thought. No, you didn't have a bad thought. You can't, because you're not thoughts. If I think, then I'm not thoughts. I am the one having thoughts. But that means I'm not thoughts. So be watchful, be observant, and start to realize I'm not those things. That's never what I was. And so this takes us up to the mount where Moses was. And then when we raise ourselves up there, we start observing from back behind, even back behind the soul, because the soul is the place where everything takes place, but we're really this God light that is coming through the soul. That's what we are. I am God. I am God in expression. I am God action. I am God activity. And so Moses was seeing this burning bush, but really what it was he was experiencing this sacred fire that is this light that is our life. That's what it was. He was becoming aware of his inner fire life, which is what is the power of manifestation. And so God told him, he said, hey, Moses, he said, you know that I that you think you are? Excuse me. That I that you think you are, that's the I that I am. And that I that you think all your people are, I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that. And I am that means I am everything. There's nothing you can see or hear or taste or touch or smell that isn't the I that I am in expression. I am the identity of that. So the one infinite, omnipresent God that is life everywhere is the I that I am. And that's why Jesus could say, I am God, because that's the truth of all of us. Now, Jesus never said a truth that wasn't true about everyone and everything. It's true everywhere, always. There's only one real truth, and that is, I am that. I am here and I am there. There's no place I am not. And I am expressing as this form, as this individual being, which at the moment we're calling him Lance, but that's not really who he is. He has another name, an inner name, an inner identity. We can call that Christ. We can call it whatever we want, but it has nothing to do with these outer expressions, which is the heart, which is the feelings, the mind, which is the intellect, the body, and the world experience. So, I am. So, meditations then, it's a good idea to have some meditations where you go in and contemplate what I am and begin to understand that it is the all in all. The I that I am has no beginning and no ending. Not just in time, but in space too. We really are not confined to space. We can learn to put our attention somewhere and manifest there. It just takes practice. It's because we're already there. And it's just a matter of us putting our attention where we want to be. And so start thinking about those things. See if you can feel that inner I that I am. Feel its presence. Think about my life. My life is here. Obviously, I exist. And see if you can feel the presence of it without feeling the form, without feeling the intellect, actual feeling that invisible part of you that is here, that is the greater part of you. This outer part is the very, very smallest part, and it's not confined like we think it is. We think it's confined in this body. We think it's confined to this intellect, to the things that I know. It's not at all. And that's a little hard to grasp, but it's like everything. It just takes practice. And it doesn't have to take a long time. You just have to take some time to sit down and contemplate it and close your eyes and see if you can feel it. And if you can't feel it right away, that's okay. Just keep trying, because it's there. I guarantee you it's there. It just, once you realize it's there, you don't understand how we ever thought it wasn't there, or how we thought we were something else. You just, you'll wake up and you'll just go, boy, what was I thinking? Yeah, so identity. This is just kind of the beginning of it, but it's an important part. We have to change how we identify and stop thinking about this lifespan and start thinking about our eternal life and our omnipresent life. Because we're not confined in space the same way we're not confined in time. And even though these five senses are telling us we're right here, we're really not just here. And you can discover that through that exercise of looking for yourself in the body, contemplating what each part of your body is, where you are in relation to that, how you have dictated what your body is without realizing it, and begin to understand that you are a co-creator with God. You are an instrument of God. And once you let go of this mortal identity, this identity that only lives small lifespans, then you'll begin to understand that the possibilities are infinite and that your future looks very bright. It really is. It's just a question of how long are you going to wait before you start living it. Our eternal lives are here ready for us right now. But how long are we going to wait Are we going to try and wait till after death? I guarantee you that's not going to work. You're going to go with you into death. You take yourself wherever you go. Your consciousness is going to go with you. Even you lose the form, but you're still there. And you are the one that is expressing as form, so you're just going to express another form that's like the one you have, or something similar, similar conditions, different places, different faces, same situation. So if you want to change that, we can. We can start living our immortal, eternal lives now when we start identifying with that truth. Okay, so Patty has something for us. What is this, Patty?
So funny. Chapter 3, The Invisible I That I Am.
Okay, she's looking at the book, You Are Divinely Made.
Yeah, your book, you write.
Chapter 3.
You write in here that, so now I have no choice. Now the only thing I can be is the Spirit of God. I exist only as the Spirit of God in His expression. And it goes on. And then this part is very interesting. Would you like to read it?
Okay, sure. From here down?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we'll end it with this. This takes us to a whole nother dimension. We are now looking at ourselves as we truly are. Not form, not mind, not world. I am in the body, yet I am not the body. I am in the mind, yet I am not the mind. I am in the world, yet I am not of the world. I use the body, I use the mind, yet I eternally remain outside of these. I am invisible, so this puts me in what we call the fourth dimension. See, once we get out behind all these outer forms, that's what we call the fourth dimension. Looking at the forms, observing the forms, but not in the forms. When we live out from this truth, we are in the fourth dimension. We are now casting out our nets on the other side of the ship. That's what Jesus meant when he told them to cast their nets on the other side. Stop identifying with mortality and start identifying with your immortality. And then you'll have plenty of fish. There won't be any lack. See, that was his point. Your lack is in your identity with mortality, because that's where lack is. But there's no lack in immortality. Our inner eyes are now beginning to open, no longer blinded by the lies of this mortal world. Finally, it will dawn on us, this is a spiritual universe. There is no material universe. I am a spirit. I never was a material form. This idea of materialism was only a false idea about the universe or about self. Everything, including myself, is made by God, sustained by God, and run by God. When I use the term God, I mean the one universal, invisible life, emanating out from the invisible to the visible. Nothing belongs to you, yet everything has been given to you as a gift for your use. Isn't this just the most wonderful discovery? I have everything, yet I own nothing. I am completely free. You are completely free. Do you understand what this means? You are free the moment you realize you belong to God. You are God's gift to the world. This is the moment you stop agreeing with what the world has told you about yourself. Don't agree with it anymore. They didn't know. They thought you were this form. You're not. They thought you were a mind. You're not. This is the moment we come alive in the realization that I am. Okay, thank you,
The
Patty.
invisible am.
The-
I am.
The invisible I that I am. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. And there is much, much more to come. So we look forward to seeing you again. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you for taking the time.